sure most of you have heard people say when they're dieting that they're just gonna cut down on the amount of food that they're eating so that they can lose weight. And although this does seem to work short term, it's really kind of one of those myths about it. Because in reality, it'll only make you go back up in weight, or it's actually not helpful. The same thing applies to my main claim that reducing the amount of paper products you use is beneficial to conserving trees. Stopping the production of paper products is actually counterproductive to ecological efforts. The paper industry actually helps preserve trees through sustainable forest management, and I will show you that through my 3 points that are decreasing paper consumption will actually result in fewer trees. Paper products are more desirable, and paper is safer for humans than substitute plastic products. So back to my first point. You can imagine that most companies out there want to make a profit, and if people stop consuming paper products, the companies won't have much of a reason to continue to make those products, which will make the demand for raw materials go down, and they will consequently not plant as many trees and not keep up with purchasing trees from farmers in other countries. Also, some of those companies will turn to producing plastic products in place of those paper products. A quote from the internationalpaper.com says that when consumers use wood-based products, they provide a direct financial incentive for landowners to keep working forests. My second point is that paper products are more desirable than plastic products. Plastic products are generally very easy to get anywhere, and you can reuse them many times. But you can do the same thing with paper products while helping the environment, actually. Paper products are biodegradable. They won't stay in landfills as long as plastic products will. According to this article online on about.com, it says that normally plastic items can take thousands of years to decompose. Most specifically, everyday products such as plastic bags take 10 to 20 years to decompose, while plastic bottles take 450 years. Although paper products do make up most of the waste in landfills, it only takes about 2 to 6 weeks for all the paper products to completely disintegrate back into the ground in landfills. So even if you keep using more paper products and throwing them away, they go away faster than any plastic product that you could throw away. One of the main arguments for why plastic is better for the environment than paper products is that they have multiple uses and you can recycle them. You can recycle pretty much any kind of plastic. But you can also recycle paper. And in reality, of all the things that are recycled, 29% of that is paper products and only 12% are plastic. So really, paper is twice as recyclable as plastic. Plastic waste also ends up in the ocean and contaminates wildlife. According to this article in National Geographic, oceanographer and chemist Charles Moore says that 267 marine species are affected by plastic garbage. Animals are known to swallow plastic bags, which resemble jellyfish in mid-ocean, and about 44% of all seabirds eat plastic by mistakes. Plastic in itself can cause harm to the animal by causing them to choke and other things, but it also contaminates the animal itself, and that just creates a bad cycle when a smaller fish is eaten by a bigger fish, and it only makes the contamination go up. Which brings me to my third point, that paper products are also safer for humans. Continuing with what Moore says, being at the top of the food chain, the contamination will only increase in humans that are eating contaminated animals. And seawater actually acts as a sponge that takes in all the plastic that is decomposed in the ocean and makes the water more toxic for the animals. And when humans consume those animals, they intake more of that contamination. Also, paper factories can produce energy, which is also healthier for the environment because they produce a lot of biomass, which is used for the same paper factories mechanism. So they just recycle the same energy in all their different processes, and the mills that they use to create the paper also, the water is put back into the fields that grow those same trees, so it's much more beneficial than a factory who's just producing pollution and plastic. And I think that paper products are better than plastic products, and stopping the production of paper products is actually counterproductive because less paper products will result in fewer trees. Paper is more beneficial than plastic, and it is safer for humans.
The organizational stuff is all pretty solid. You've got a good preview. The signposts and the body of the speech are pretty straightforward. You do identify the proposition at the beginning, but it's kind of buried in something that would be a setup of the argument also. So I think you need to have a more distinct statement of it as well. I knew where you were going with this, but I think that it needs to be separated a little bit. You'd have to watch back on the speech to know what I'm talking about. It's a little bit hard to figure. Maybe you will actually do that as a result of my saying this. If you watch back, I think when you get to the beginning, you'll see that you kind of start off with a sentence that sounds like it's the proposition. You stop, it's an explanation, and then the proposition shows up afterwards. So it's like it's divided into two parts with an explanation in the middle, and that was just confusing. I thought that you had very good evidence in most of your argument. I thought you cited the information very consistently. There were a couple of things that I didn't get source citations on, but for the most part you gave us good testimony, citations, you gave us authorities on some things. There are some things I think we need to have some information on. So for example, how much of the paper industry is how much do they actually contribute to maintaining and adding trees to the world? I didn't hear any information about that. It seems to suggest that if we decreased paper consumption, that the people who produce these paper would decrease the amount of trees that they plant. And I'm going, well, how many trees are they planting in the first place? I don't know, and that's one of those things that I think is kind of important on that first argument. I'm not sure that there's much dispute that paper is less environmentally hazardous than plastic on those sorts of things, but here's another one of those things. Where are they substitutable for each other? Is there been a trend for plastic to be replacing paper on something, and the argument is that that's the thing that we ought to be watching out for. That's the thing that's dangerous. I don't know. I tell you, I was trying to think of that as you were speaking. Where is it that plastic is replacing paper, or where is it that paper could replace plastic? The bag thing is probably the obvious example. You don't see as many of those six-pack ring things as you did once upon a time. Everything seems to come in these cardboard boxes, refrigerator boxes, and everything, that sort of thing. So maybe that's what is being talked about. There may be some other things too, I don't know. That's a place where I think you could use a few examples to illustrate your point. But on the environmental issues, you did a pretty good job on that. And I thought that was fine as well. You speak pretty effectively to the audience. We can hear you. I thought that was a good way to deliver the argument. There was something else that I was gonna look at, and I can't remember what it was now off the top of my head. Oh, is somebody suggesting that we get rid of paper products? You make it sound like there's some crusade out there that people want to get rid of paper, that they want to cut back on the use of paper. And I'm going, okay, well, that would make it very clear that there's a controversy on this subject, but I don't get any background on that. So if you were going to set that up, you need to have a little bit of information on that argument so I know what's going on there. Crusaders against the paper. I've got an example that works for you that none of you in here is even going to know about, and soon it'll be such a distant memory. Do you guys remember CDs? Yeah. Okay. When CDs first came out, all of the record stores were concerned because about how they were going to display them in the stores to sell. This is, of course, before there was any internet and people just bought stuff through the mail. So they had these boxes, they called them long boxes, that would fit into the displays for the LPs. Remember the LPs? You know LPs? They're 12-inch records. You know, some of you know what I'm talking about. So they made these big cardboard boxes. The CD was like in the top third of the box, and then the rest of the box was just tall. It had the artwork on it and everything, so it would fit into the bins. The world, all the environmental people went crazy about this. Look at all the waste of paper that's going on here. Look at all the excess use of material that's happening there. And that's the first thing that popped in my mind. I said, okay, there's somebody that wanted to get rid of all this stuff. We could have used your argument back in 1982. All right. Thank you.